Insurance verification is such a huge pain point in the dental space and it's one of the two things that they just don't do.
Yeah.
And when I hear that a dental office is not doing insurance verification, it just blows my mind because insurance verification is like the first part of that revenue cycle. So if you don't do an insurance verification, it affects every single other step. And it just puts your office really behind the eight ball.
What's going on, everybody? We are here for what is episode 3 of the ZeroBalance Podcast. What an honor to be here with the DCS team, the Quanta Suite team, with Will and Harry. This is a special episode, guys, right? Because I was actually going through here, and Will, you are AVP of Strategy and Special Projects, so that's special,
Absolutely.
right? And Harry, you are in charge of Special Services and a whole host of things. So we're going to make this a special episode. Is that good, guys?
Sounds great.
Okay. Okay. And we're going to talk about obviously some fun things, maybe college football at the end if you're good with it.
Absolutely.
Sweet. Okay. I love it. Oh, there we go. And I see your shirt. So this is going to be amazing. All right. So Will, let everybody know a little bit about who you are, what you do here, and I think more importantly, kind of what excites you most about being part of this team.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Will Snipes. I'm the AVP of Strategy and Special Projects. I currently oversee our operations team at DCS. I've been with the company, a little over a year and a half, or coming up on a year and a half. It's been an exciting journey so far. I've learned a lot in this process of what it means to be a part of a growing company, especially at a very hands-on opportunity. Previously, before I started at DCS, I spent some time in the clearinghouse world in the dental industry. That's how I got started with the dental knowledge or the business side of dentists. Sitting in the middle of the clearinghouse industry, you're in the middle of both providers on dentists and payers, insurance companies. So I got to see a lot of unique things and perspectives from both sides of that coin. And then when I met the DCS guys, I actually met them at a conference that we were all at back in, 2023 in the spring, and really just kind of hit it off with those guys. They're easy to talk to. They all like Georgia football, so it was very easy for me to gravitate.
That's where we're going, Harry. That's where we're going.
Talking to them. And so, at that time, it was just more about connecting with somebody else in the industry that was younger and entrepreneurial. And I didn't really think anything about it at the time about ever working at DCS or ending up there. But lo and behold, 6 months later, I found myself on the job website applying for a job and reached out to Davey and Josh. And it was just really, they're easy guys to come to work for every day. And so, looking at where we're headed and the path that we're going on with the technology piece as well as the service piece really excited me, and it's something I'm happy to be a part of.
So last night at dinner, Will, I was sitting with John Kromenhawk, and he was kind of sharing with me everybody that's part of the team and just a little bit of your all's background, and he said we had to have that guy. You know what I mean? So I know, to your point, I think sometimes you never know those one or two conversations at a conference or what have you, how all that comes together. And even in my conversation with Greg in the other episode, dentistry is in a really cool spot right now. I'm deeming it like Dentistry 3.0, where you have a lot of different talent that worked in different organizations coming together to create the technologies to really kind of move dentistry forward. So super exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And like I said, it's a growing organization. It's easy to get on board. It's easy to get excited about where we're headed.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of opportunity for us. And I think that's what Harry will agree to, is just in his business unit, special services, you'll hear more about, but there's so much untapped opportunity in special services using automation, technology, and even just process improvement for offices and for people. Yeah,
that's a good point. I did want to mention, I'm glad you brought that up, the title of this particular episode is, how automation is going to transform dental revenue cycle management. That's kind of some of the things we're going to get into. But I want to take the opportunity to have you guys share a little bit about your story and stuff. So, all right, so we've got Roll Tide over here, right? Harry Levy.
Right.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Awesome, glad to be
here.
here.
So a little bit about you, your story, kind of your why, and what you like about being here.
Yeah, sure. Again, Harry Levy, Special Services Business Unit Manager, and I've been with DCS for going just about 3 years.
Okay.
I started in dental about 10 years ago, working in an office just as a billing specialist. Worked my way into managing the practice. That practice was sold, and I kind of took off from there, managed that practice, moved on to a different practice, so on and so forth. Made my way to a different revenue cycle management company for a couple of years, and then made my way to DCS. It's been a great journey.
So talk a little bit about, on a day-to-day basis, like what you're helping the team with, what you're helping practices with, like in this special services department.
Yeah, for sure. So the special services business unit oversees our insurance verification, ZeroBalance, patient collections, schedule flow, patient scheduling, and our credentialing services.
Okay, got it. And when you think about the conversations that you all are having on a weekly basis with dental practices, what is the biggest thing that you all hear as far as the problems that you're solving? I mean, when you say the word dental billing, it makes people in a dental practice feel a lot of different ways, right?
For sure.
Patients as well. But what are some of the things that you hear with a lot of the work that you do with the customers that you guys work with?
Yeah, I mean, we talk to these dental offices every day, and the things that they struggle with the most are not having qualified staff, not having the people in the office that can do these tasks, whether it's a manual process or kind of managing an automated role. They don't have the people. They don't have the time or the knowledge to really get into a really manual process for revenue cycle management.
And so do you feel like that's what's driving a lot of this automation? In other words, you all have had the opportunity to kind of know and understand the real problems the practices are having. Staffing, I don't know if everybody expected that. I know COVID kind of drove that, and now here we are, but thank goodness that you guys all built the foundation for that. But I think that's kind of where the automation at least feels like is building, is where you guys are going to be able to solve that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, as people continue to struggle to find staff, every time you can replace a task with like an automation, that makes it a little bit, it lightens the load of having to find another person to do another thing.
Yeah. So, Will, I wanted to ask you on the strategy side.
Yeah.
Like when you sit back and you have, hours during your week to do strategy, right? Does that ever happen? You get a chance to do that?
Every now and then. Yeah.
I wanted to put that out there because it is a part of what you do.
Yeah,
and as
absolutely.
you know so well, like you have to book time for strategy. But
you
in
do.
all seriousness, when you look at kind of as you all are learning from what you've learned from the years of serving the practices, moving into this automation, what do you see? Where are the opportunities?
Yeah, I think there's tons of opportunity. Obviously, AI is a big hot topic in dental and has been for some time. It seems like every company is out there trying to leverage some type of AI or even use it as a buzzword in marketing.
Sure.
Looking at ways that we can automate internally some of the things that we want to do that we can also potentially get out on the market from a consumer standpoint as well. So, we at DCS, we obviously struggle with things too internally as well, and getting processes and off spreadsheets into more automated and data and using data to make decisions. And, as an organization, it's like, okay, if we could solve this for us, then we also have an opportunity to solve it for somebody else. And I think that's really where we're trying to blend, Quanta and DCS together in terms of creating potentially either software or automations that can either help DCS as an organization, and knowing that if we do that, we can also help somebody else out there. The other thing too is just also looking from a kind of big picture standpoint. When you talk about automation, and this is something I wanted to make sure we talked about today, was a lot of people think automation strictly as like a software, but automating and automation and technology doesn't necessarily mean have to be a software, right? It can be making a very manual process more efficient.
Right.
And so you talk about process automation, it's more about like, okay, how can I reduce the time spent by my staff by 50 to 75%? And that may be something, that may not be a piece of software that they're utilizing. It may just be, let's just do this better. Right. And figure out a way that maybe we can automate, if you have 100% a process from start to finish, maybe I can automate this third of it, but I know that if I automate that third of it, it's going to save 80% of my time. So it's just about getting into that kind of mindset, is that I don't think that you're ever going to have to, there are things in the dental industry and dental RCM that will never be fully automated.
Right.
They're still going to have some kind of human oversight to checks and balances system, right? And so just making sure that what are those key areas that we're focused on to try to be able to automate that we can solve for our customers. I know Harry had a little bit about that with insurance verification, right, as an example of that. So that's just it's a pain point that exists for every single dental provider in the space. And it will continue to be a pain point because the consistency from insurance companies and the information, how the information's gathered, it's not consistent from one insurance company to the next. So I know Harry wanted to talk a little bit about that, but it's just figuring out ways that what are some of the key pieces or key components that we can always be looking at, knowing that that pain point is going to continue to exist.
It's an interesting perspective. In the conversation I was having with Greg in the other episode, he was talking about when he came into this industry, the realization that some aspects of what was being done in a dental practice was behind, right? From a technology standpoint, from an automation standpoint. But also the awareness to know that you can't do that all at once. You can't just drop this technology on a dental practice and, like you said, assume that they're going to want to implement it and be okay with it. So it is an interesting perspective to say, okay, if there are some little things that you all can help dental practices with, just kind of buy them a little bit time.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I'm curious on your guys' thoughts, of maybe some of the reasons why they haven't been able to kind of look and implement a lot of these technologies is because they haven't had the time.
Yeah.
Right? And so going through, it's like the automation process is actually a process in itself. Then it sounds like with the relationships you all have, you're helping them with that.
Yeah, and it's even to that point too, it's also sometimes they don't even have the cash flow to be able to do it, right? Sure. So some of the technology is either an upfront investment that they've got to spend, knowing that return's going to come a little bit later down the road. And then also, like you said, the time that it takes to implement some of these things, right? Like if you had, ZeroBalance is a very quick implementation. So that's one where we feel like we can really make an impact on a provider's cash flow because we can implement them and get them live and collect the money within, a couple days at max. Whereas, if you're going to go implement some type of automated technology or do a PMS conversion, right? That takes time because you're taking data from an old system and getting it into a new system, and you still got outstanding claims over here in this old system that we're trying to figure out, are we going to keep it in the old system? Are we going to move it to the new system? Making sure the patient records convert. There's just so many. There's a lot. And that's a big undertaking, right? And so it's trying to figure out, it's like a product roadmap, right? You gotta, if I was a practice, I would kind of prioritize what do I need right now or what can help me right now? What's the easiest to get off the ground? That sort of thing. So if I'm, looking at a PMS conversion, that may be more so hey, if I'm starting a calendar year, that may be a Q4 type thing. Whereas, okay, if I could implement something like ZeroBalance and get, money in the door quicker and faster, that allows me to be able to do some of that stuff and buy me a little bit of that time, then that may be a good starting point.
Yeah,
right. So,
that's a great point. Yeah, and so Harry, along the lines of insurance verification, so let's talk about that. I love how Will kind of set that up of okay, there's little things that you can do to kind of get to the next level. On the insurance verification side, let's talk about the journey of automation. Let's talk about what a practice has to do to get there, and what are your perspectives on that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, traditional insurance verification is such a manual process. You start by kind of logging into your PMS. You have to review the schedule, look at every appointment, see what insurance each patient has, list out those patients by insurance, start looking at portals, making phone calls, hoping that the person on the other end gives you the accurate information, so on and so forth. It's a very time-consuming process with a lot of steps. What we've done is we've developed a piece of software that pulls all of that information into one place and allows you to automatically use a clearinghouse to check the eligibility information and get some of that information automatically, directly from the insurance company. So what you've done, to Will's point, is you've taken a process that's 100% manual, and you've taken 80% of the work and made it lightning fast.
Yeah.
You've eliminated a bunch of the human error, which is a huge problem in insurance verification. If I see 80%, but it's really 70%, that can be, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars for a patient.
Absolutely.
So, you can never, at this point in the dental space, you can't automate insurance verification 100%. It can't happen. The data is too inconsistent.
Right.
How it's provided by the insurance companies is too inconsistent. But we've taken as much of it as you can and condensed it down so that the human element is as minimal as possible.
Yeah. And I think I know the answer to this, but when a practice sees that, silence, yoo-hoo, roll tide? Like, what do they say?
They're really excited about it. Insurance verification is such a huge pain point in the dental space.
Yeah.
And it's one of the two things that they just don't do.
Yeah.
And when I hear that a dental office is not doing insurance verification, it just blows my mind because insurance verification is like the first part of that revenue cycle. So if you don't do a good insurance verification, it affects every single other step, and it just puts your office really behind the eight ball.
Yeah, and I feel like we're all patients in a dental practice, so like we know and understand what this is like from that perspective.
Sure.
We know it's frustrating in the practice. It's really frustrating on the patient side. And in a world where, as you all know, with dentistry, it used to be like, I'm going to go to this dental practice because it's where I always went and nothing's going to change. Well, now that there's more dental practices, I have more options, more choices. Not figuring out a way to streamline that could be the difference between a patient staying and leaving.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and it's not just that like insurance verification piece, but there's nothing more frustrating than going to the dentist, having your work done, and then a year later, all of a sudden, you get a bill in the mail, and you're like, I don't even remember having this work done, and here I am now. I owe a couple $100 to the dentist. Why didn't they let me know immediately?
Yeah.
And that's where kind of ZeroBalance comes into play, right? So a traditional, patient billing, quote unquote, process for a dental office is once that insurance makes their payment, eventually they get around to sending a paper statement. When you send the paper statement, you have to pay for the ink, the paper, the stamp, the time to look at the ledger, click the buttons, press the button, stuff the envelope, stamp the envelope, take it to the mail. And if anybody's like me, the mail comes, it sits on the kitchen table for a week, then I kind of open it, and then it sits in the office for a week, and maybe eventually I get around to looking at it. But with ZeroBalance, again, a piece of software that pulls all of the patients in your practice in, automatically can engage those patients in digital outreaches, texts and emails, that lets them know they have a balance. That's only the first part of it. From there, it automatically reminds them of the balance every 7 to 10 business days with another automated outreach until the end of the cycle flow. So, when it comes to patient collections, the two most important things are letting the patient know that they have a balance as soon as possible, and then regular, consistent follow-up.
Sure.
And those are the things that dental offices miss. Insurance verification and patient collections are the two things that a dental office is first to let fall to the wayside. And they are two of the things that we've found to be the biggest pain points.
Yeah. So, Will, the problems that you all are solving that Harry just mentioned, there's a lot of cool technology in dentistry, right?
Yeah.
There's AI, case acceptance tools, and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
What I have loved as I've learned more about all of you is you're solving these real problems that are not always the sexiest problems in a dental practice, but they're so important.
Yeah.
That being said, people are learning and understanding that the more that a company operates, the more data you stack, the more learning you all do.
Absolutely.
It's going to build this foundation for you all to be able to bring new technologies to the practice and keep stacking on top of that. So I know we wanted to get a little bit into Quanta Suite, and I talked a little bit, with it on the last episode with Greg, but how is all this coming together? Back from a strategy perspective, how do you see all this as like really kind of being able to, help you guys take these practices to the next level?
Yeah, and I think, Quanta Suite itself is, it's exactly why we named the company what we did, right? It's data, Quanta, and it's a suite of products, right? And how can we create a holistic suite of products that we can get out in the market that solve a lot of these pain points? So when you look at a practice management software system that's got the ZeroBalance integrated, that's got the patient scheduling integrated, that's got insurance verification integrated, like just creating that one-stop shop was the idea behind Quanta Suite. And then we also have Quanta Pay outside of it, which is the ZeroBalance plus more, right? And I think that's the key that I want to highlight too, is that ZeroBalance, the text to pay, the email to pay, that's just one feature of the product itself, right? It's a full payments platform. And it's something that, that is able to be in a provider's face, giving them that data that they so desire and that we all desire, but it also allows them a bunch of different modalities to meet the patient where they are, right? So you've got the opportunity to manage payment plans in there. So if you've got a large balance and I don't want to send the patient financing, but I want to make sure that they have the opportunity to pay over time, I can do that inside the ZeroBalance solution. Also, they have membership plans that they can manage, right? So a lot of these offices,
they're moving towards that.
moving towards, you know, maybe they have a fee for service, or they built their own membership plan in-house. They can manage those membership plans inside in the dashboard. They can also take virtual payments through the dashboard. They can also host the payment link on their office's website. A lot of people will get a balance and they'll be like, okay, I don't want to call, but I'll go to the website and see if there's a payment link there on my provider's website. Host the payment link on the website. So there's a bunch of different modalities of how people can pay. And of course, you know, we've got the in-person credit card terminals. That's key as a part of that as well, right? So it's a full payment suite. And when you talk about payments, it's self-explanatory, right? It's getting you paid and getting you paid quicker. And if you give people options and abilities to pay, they're more likely going to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think about it just from my own personal example. I know Harry just talked about like getting a paper statement in the mail. I mean, my dental offices, call me a bad salesman. I haven't gotten them on Quanta yet, but they still.
We're just getting started here.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta give yourself a little bit of a break there. Will.
I swear, every time I go in, I talk to him about it because I'm so tired of getting a paper statement in the mail. I mean, just even my last visit I got, it was like, hey, you know, I got a auto generated paper statement. It's like, oh, you're 30 days past due, and I'm like, I didn't even get a first one, right? You know, and it's just things like that where if you'd have texted me 3 days after my visit, I would have just paid it off my phone. And it's just it's so convenient too, and I think it's more kind of like a generational thing, right? And Harry and I are the same generation, so it's we're all used to being on our cell phone all the time, right? And it's just things are at our fingertips. So it's just creating those conveniences for consumers and keeping the inpatient in mind. And like that's the other thing too is patients get upset when they get a text message or a statement a year later, right? But in the moment I go to a dental office and I go get treatment done, like I know there's going to be a balance there. Yeah. Like, and I'm more apt to pay it if I'm just right out of the office. So things like that. I mean, it's really just kind of taking the full suite of products and getting it out there because we do see opportunity. We do see opportunity in the market, and we also see opportunity in a couple of the specialty areas. And I know you're going to be talking to Angela in one of the episodes, but she's our OMS business unit, and we've got a lot of opportunity in oral surgery right now too.
Ultimately, what it's doing is it's helping them, but it's helping the patients.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so many of these practices are in very unique situations right now where, I mean, you all have seen it, right? You look at their AR, it kind of blows you away, right? If you bring somebody in from outside of an industry, you see how successful a dental practice can be, and then you open up the hood of the car, you see their AR, and you think to yourself, and to your point, I've found this over the years, so many of the patients, it's not that they don't want to pay. And unless it's a big case, a lot of these are $300. I mean, one of the things that blew my mind years ago was when I would get into the practice management software and I would look at the unscheduled treatment list, and I would notice how much of that was less than $1,000. Yeah. And so I think this is just the next step. And maybe in a lot of those cases, we don't know this because patients don't say it, is the reason why they didn't get that treatment done was because of these little hiccups, so these little like bumps in the road where it's like, the office didn't make it easy, and that's what you guys are doing, which is really, really exciting. And I wanted to ask you, Harry, along these lines, how much of you all moving to the next level with the Quanta suite came from what you all have learned from the individual practices that you guys have been serving?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really the foundation of the whole thing. Not only most of the people that work at DCS have come in some way, shape, or form from a dental practice, right? So we all have a combined tremendous amount of experience doing every single, role in a dental office. So, as we kind of come together and start doing these things for dental offices all over the country, we know where all the pain points are. We know where all of the hiccups are. We've done it all in the office and kind of as that third party extension of a team, through DCS. So, being able to develop these automations and using this technology, I mean, all of these things were things that we already did,
Right.
but we did them manually.
Right.
And so there's no better group of people to identify, like, what can we do to make the experience better? Again, not just for us or for the dental office, but for the patient.
patients,
Because
yeah.
that's really what it's all about
Yeah.
at the end of the day. A dentist goes into dentistry to help patients, right? And they're not going into the dentistry to start a business or to call on claims or go after people's balances. That's what they have a team of people for, and we help them be able to focus on the patients that are sitting in front of them in the chair.
It's exciting. Last week, guys, I was at the Spear event in Orlando. I got an opportunity to speak with some of these top clinicians in dentistry, and there was a common theme. I can see it. I can see the tension and the stress that a lot of clinicians have. They know that they're getting pulled away from their patient. They want to be more human with their patients. They want to focus on patient care. And I think that those that are really good, they can feel what's going on.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think a lot of this is that if you want to create that human experience in a dental practice to help people get healthy, you've got to figure these things out. And that's what you guys are doing with the technology, which is really exciting.
Absolutely. And to Will's point, there's so much opportunity in the specialty space as well. We have an oral surgery group that we work with who had a tremendous amount of patient AR, and they had sent a lot of it to a third-party collection agency. And they just really found that they weren't having success there. And so when they came on with DCS, they said, hey, let's kind of start with some of our balances using ZeroBalance to see if we can collect. They had amazing success. They pulled all of those balances out of that third-party collection agency and put them through ZeroBalance, and we collected about 75% of what a third-party collection agency wasn't able to do because we provided consistent, follow-ups, letting them know they have the balance, and to Will's point, easy ways to make payments.
Focus on the problem, not the symptom.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so before we wrap, I promised that we would talk a little football. So this is risky to share with you guys that I'm an Ohio State fan. But I think, is it safe to say that at this table, I know it's warranted, that between Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State, I mean, there's a decent amount of national championships around
I'd
this
say,
table.
yeah.
Right. So let's kind of wrap this by, what is the future of Alabama football?
The future of
I mean,
Alabama.
are you going to continue to get excited, or are we going in the opposite direction?
I am a Kalen DeBoer supporter.
Okay.
I think that we've got the infrastructure. We're going to recruit the players. I'm not worried at all.
Okay, not worried. What about Georgia?
Oh, if we can slow down our speeding, we'll be all right. But no, I think as long as Kirby Smart's at Georgia, they're gonna have a great team and be in contention every year. So it's it's exciting. I've always grown up a Georgia football fan, so to see this success over the last decade or so, it even stems further back than that. The last 2 decades, even when Mark Richt was there, it's been awesome. And so model of consistency, like I said, just as long as Kirby's there, we're in good hands.
Yeah. So 2 amazing programs, and the last kind of analogy that I want to make is that I'll start with you, Will. Is like what's it been like to be a part of this company? I mean, I just have started to kind of learn more about you. The culture is awesome, and I make that example because, as you all know, to have a consistent college football program, it requires a lot. It requires leadership, commitment, dedication, all those things. Talk about what that's been like here for you all to really kind of build that foundation as you look forward to the future.
Yeah, I had a conversation actually about this last night about our company culture, and I think a lot of culture and how you view or an employee views the culture of the team or their work environment is a lot about perspective, right, of where they've been before, what they've experienced previously. I've been at a large company, and that's what excited me about DCS is like moving to, the opportunity for growth, the opportunity to have a hand in actual decisions that affect what the company's trajectory is. Being at a large company, it's easy to get lost.
Sure.
You sometimes feel like you're a number on a spreadsheet, right? And it doesn't matter. I was in sales, right? So I was doing a sales quote, and it was like, man, it doesn't matter if I hit this at all or not this year. It
Can't move the ship.
Can't move the ship.
Yeah.
And so that's what's exciting about DCS and Quanta Suite is that the decisions, and Harry and I meet all the time about ways that we can be more innovative in terms of our products. What enhancements can we make? What are people asking for? Those little decisions that we make have a big impact on what's out there in the market, and that's what's most exciting to me.
And how about you?
Yeah, Will said it really well. I think that, I've done the corporate thing. I've worked for startups, and DCS is really the perfect kind of middle ground between those. I really enjoy being able to be, like to Will said, a part of that kind of decision making that just really affects the trajectory of the company. And not only the company, but DCS is like a leader. DCS and Quanta Suite are leaders in the space. So what we kind of do sometimes can dictate what happens in the industry.
Sure.
So it's even more than just like being able to kind of affect change within DCS. We're able to affect change in the dental space, which is something that is unbelievably cool.
So well said. Gentlemen, thanks so much. This has been a pleasure. Congrats on the success. Really exciting to see kind of what's going to happen. And as we continue these episodes, I know we wanted to get with the team first since we're all here. You guys are all here. We're going to continue this podcast talking to a lot of some of the leaders in dentistry, kind of get their thoughts on kind of the things that they see. So we want to just continue in the spirit of, the learning organization that you guys all have deemed yourself to be, is to continue to educate the industry on how you guys can help. So thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks, John.
All right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.